Hey there, it's Kari at StudioR12 Stencils, and today we are doing a DIY Christmas. We're going to show you how to use several different mediums to make Christmas cards at home with your family. Stay tuned. Hey there, let's get started. Let's talk about Christmas cards. If you are going to go find personalized Christmas cards for everyone on your list, that is going to get pricey. Going through, spending the time reading card by card, finding something that really speaks to the person you're sending it to. But what if you could use your stencils, use your paints, use all your mediums and all your creativity and make those cards special for those people? It's super fun, super easy. Let's get started. We grabbed a box of cards. These were $9.99 for 50 cards, and they come just one-sided. We grabbed 2 different sizes, and they have envelopes. So not only can you paint the card itself, you can also paint the envelope, which is super cool. But before you get started painting, you are going to want to prep your paper. We grabbed a matte varnish from our local hardware store. We just went and grabbed a couple different kinds, everything that they had in matte, and we tried out some different things just to see what worked best for you guys. We'll link this one in the description below. So the reason that you're going to use a matte varnish is going to help keep the cards nice and flat once they get wet and once they get painted. So the paint will make them want to curl. The matte varnish will help. So how we did this was we grabbed our varnish, we grabbed a cardboard box, and we grabbed our cards and we went outside. You're gonna wanna go outside for this because the fumes are, trust me. So we went out, we put out our box, we put out our papers, and we kept our spray about a foot above our cards, and we just sprayed one side. You will want to shake it very well before you spray. If you're getting it from a big box store, you're not going to have to shake it as long, but if you're getting it from a small store, we're from a very small town, and it might have been there for a while, so we shook it quite a bit before we got started. You'll spray it. You'll let it dry. It doesn't take much time at all, maybe 30 seconds, and it was an overcast day when we did it. And then we went and flipped the cards over and then sprayed the back side, and then they are prepped and ready to go. You can feel a difference. I had the guys feel this before we got started. You can't see a difference in the cards when they're prepped and when they're not prepped, but you can actually feel a difference. So the one on my hand, underneath my hand, is just the card straight out of the box. Let me see if you can hear this. Okay, so now this card is the one that we have prepped. Can you tell the difference in how it's a little bit louder, right? It's a little more gritty, it's a little more porous, and it's going to help the paint stay on your paper. So now that we have our papers ready to go, let me show you some of the fun things that we're going to do today. We are going to start with just a basic card. So all we do on this one is we grabbed a couple of different stencils, which is super fun that the StudioR12 stencils are reusable. So you can do a card with the flakes, you can do a card with the trees, you can do a card with the balls, you can do a card with the candy cane stripe, and there you have 4 different cards. And then we have all kinds of different words that you can use. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 different words there, so math is beyond me. But how many possibilities do you have when making these cards? We are gonna get started with our first one. So the first one that we did was the Santa with these, and we're just going to do a basic stenciling before we get started with the paint. I saved these and kept them in this bucket so that you guys could see when we were testing and we were sampling and trying to determine what types of cards we were going to paint. We kept all of our brushes to show you that if you're going to be doing a project that is quick and easy, you might have to use a lot of brushes. I think we used 15 brushes, including 1 polyfoam brush when we were making these cards. And as I paint some of these, you're going to see why. Some of them you're just going to use, most of them you're going to use just a really little bit of paint because you don't have much paint on your card. A little goes a long way. So we will, on this one, let's do it a little different than the one we did before. We are going to use the trees here. So with our stencil, the beauty of this is you can do whatever you want, wherever you want, which is, I think, what I love most about this project is that we can just pick and choose as we go. I told the guys that I think I'm gonna do all of them a little different than what I did the samples, just to show you guys some differences. So our stencil is bigger than our card. We are just going to add our stretchy tape onto the paper. We're not going to push it down very hard because we don't want it to stick to the paper and rip the paper. I'm also going to, actually that's not very straight. If you're doing this and you're sending it to family members, you can make sure that you use a T-square to line up and mark those. We can try that with one of them. I'm also going to take this to the bottom of my mat. That way it won't move when we are stenciling. We are just using acrylic paint on these. However, there are so many different mediums that you can use when you are doing these projects. We're going to show you several of the mediums today, but we're going to start with a basic acrylic paint. We're going to put a little bit of paint on our palette paper. We are using honey bottles to put our paint in. We'll have the links for all of those below, either from our website or from our Amazon affiliates. And we're using a dome brush. A dome brush is a necessity when you are stenciling. Grab a little bit of paint. Be sure to come off to the side and offload your brush by doing 15 or so swirls. This is going to be even more important for a project on paper than it is for a project on wood. On wood, you can go back and you can use the click eraser to fix some of the mistakes. On the paper, you don't really have that luxury. So then you'll go to your paper and you can either stipple or you can swirl. I'm going to stipple here. Stippling is an up and down motion. The swirling is going into a circular motion. We're going to do just light layers. And we'll do just a couple layers here. This one is almost already dry. You can see on here that the stippling is a little bit darker than what the swirling was. So we'll get just one more layer. And the beauty of these cards is that they go so fast, you don't have to spend a lot of time doing it. Okay, so our trees are good to go. Our green brush is done and it is going into the bucket. So if you are doing several of these at one time, if you have one design that you're going to do over and over and over again, go ahead and do all the green on all of your projects so that you don't have to throw your brush and then get out another green brush and then throw your brush and get out another green brush. So try to keep things within the same color. Go ahead and plan that out so that you can just use the one brush. So we're going to peel this off and ta-da! Look how cute our little Christmas trees are along the bottom of our project. Super simple, super easy. I'm gonna make a pile over here of all of our stencils. Oh, one of the things that we talked about doing with this, and I'm going to show you how to dress this up a little bit, but how cute would it be if you used the Christmas balls on this stencil and then took a little paint and made stripes and made stars or made little squigglies or made polka dots? That would be so cute and such a fun and unique gift to send somebody. So we're going to go on top of our Christmas trees and we are going to paint the word believe. Again, you can place this wherever you want. I'm just kind of eyeballing it around the edge of my stencil and the edge of my paper. And I'm going to grab the tape off of my other stencil and tape this down. I'm going to do the same thing here. And actually, I'm going to kind of combine what we did on two different cards on this one. So for this, for our believe, I'm going to paint it, and then I'm also going to show you how we glittered and how you can glitter through stencils. It's super fun, super easy. So let's grab we're gonna grab some red, and you can see on my palette paper that I got entirely too much paint. And I didn't get that much paint compared to what we normally do on a project. But unless you're going to be doing card after card after card, then a little paint is going to go a very long way. I'm gonna pour out a little bit of paint on our palette paper because our believe, I actually probably got too much of that anyway. Our believe is just teeny tiny, and I'm going to grab some glitter. This is our lovely bucket of glitter. This is one of our most prized possessions here. Everybody loves the glitter. We're gonna do red paint and red glitter. And we have a link that we will share with this glitter and where we got it from off Amazon. And they have so many different colors. Glitter is one of the best things that you can add to your project. We're getting a smaller dome brush here. We typically use the 5/8, which is our larger brush. But for some of the smaller words in the smaller projects, you are going to want a smaller brush. And I am going to stipple this word. We still did quite a bit of offloading, so it is still very dusty. But since the word is so small, and since the bridging on this one is teeny tiny, the stippling will help us get right in there to all the little nooks and crannies. So while our paint is still wet, you will set this aside. You will grab your glitter, and we are going to pour our glitter right on top of where we painted. And then check out the cutest little thing we have. This is a little tray for your glitter. We have a link to this below, and we will share it. Then you will pick up your card, undo your stencil, and pour the glitter. Sorry, I should have done it this way for you. Pour the glitter to the side. You can see the glitter on the stencil. You will want to go wash that off so that it doesn't stay on your stencil. And then the big reveal. Check out how pretty this is. We have our believe word that is glittered. We have our Christmas trees. When you are using the glitter, we do recommend at the end doing a quick spray on your project. We did the glitter on this one and let it set, and the glitter kind of came off a little bit. So today we sprayed it just to give it a little bit of a coat so that the glitter will stay on better. So we have our glitter, and then with our glitter, you will open up your glitter container. This little guy has a little knob that comes right off at the end and has a teeny tiny hole. You put that right into your glitter container and then pour your glitter right in. And then you don't have a mess. You have less of a mess than if you're just using a paper and trying to get it to go in. But man, this is such a handy tool. We'll share the link for it below. And I'm gonna get glitter everywhere every time I use it. Okay, so we have our belief, but I'm actually going to do one more thing with this one. I'm gonna put our red brush into our bucket of water. I'm grabbing a teeny, teeny, tiny brush that is a dome brush, and this one's really good for details, but I'm not going to use the brush side of this. I'm actually going to use the tip. We have our red paint here, which we just dumped out. We are going to come into the red paint, just put a little bit of it on our brush, and then we are going to come to our project, use the end of our brush, the butt of our brush as a paintbrush, and put little teeny tiny Christmas balls, little ornaments on top of our trees. Guys, this is so cute. This was something that we last minute thought of, and I am so glad we did. I love how it looks. You can also use a yellow to put little stars at the top. That would be super duper cute as well. Let me finish these other ones because I'm loving how this is turning out, and I want to show you guys the finished project. we'll put this in the water and just use a paper towel to get the paint off of the end of it, and it'll go back into our container, and voila, look how cute this turned out. So we just used 2 different stencils. We used our glitter. We did a little bit of embellishments with the end of our brush, and it turned out super cute. So these cards are just really basic, not using a lot of intricate detail on the stencils, just using the stencils that we have. Okay, I'm gonna put these to the side, and we are going to go on to our next project. So for this one, I do want to show you what we used on this one. We have some amazing frame stencils, and they come from teeny tiny to medium size, and we even have really large ones. And the frame stencils are amazing, and that's what actually inspired me to do this project. Is one of our designers had made some mock-up images of the frame stencils being used as cards. I said, oh my gosh, we have to do that tutorial. So for this one, we used the large frame stencil, and then we put the small frame stencil inside of it, and then used one of our Christmas word stencils. And this one has all kinds of words, all kinds of snowflakes. So you can really just pick and choose what you're going to use from your stencils. All right, and let's throw this over here. So now we're going to talk about spattering snow through our stencils. So check out this little card we did. This one has a Christmas tree and a little, what is this? A fawn and a doe. And so we decided that we were gonna show how to spatter through your stencils, since that is something that is very Christmas oriented. So let's grab another card here. I'm gonna set this one down. So with this one, I'm going to do a different one so you can see how we do it. I'm just gonna put the stencil down here. Actually, I think I'm gonna do these 3. Nope, we're gonna do the big one. So we're going to put our tree wherever we like on the card. You can turn it however angle you would like it. So if you would like the bottom of it to be flat against the bottom of your card. And then we're going to tape through our stencil so that it is stuck to our surface. I'm gonna grab a dark green for this one. Let's just use the green that's already out. The dark green was what we did on the last one. So we're going to go into our green and come back onto our paper towel for our stencil basics, swirling off and then swirling onto our paper. We're not applying a lot of pressure. The paper is going to be a little more finicky than your wood surface. So if you are not wiping off your paint onto your paper towel and it gets too wet, that's when the paper is going to want to curl and get kind of funky. So we'll go in here one more time, come off here and swirl. This time I'm going to stipple it just to give it a little more coverage. You can stipple or swirl. It is not going to make a difference on this project. It's just personal preference. I'm going to grab the blow dryer. So it doesn't take long for these to dry, but you can always grab a blow dryer beside your stand and hit it just for a couple seconds so that you can make sure it's dry before you move on. And what's great about these teeny tiny projects is they don't take long to dry because you have such a small area that you are covering. Okay, we're just gonna do this third layer just to make it a little darker and then plop our brush into the water. So for paint spatter, let's talk about this. We actually have a whole video on paint spatter, so we will share that with you guys so you can watch from start to finish how you can do it and get a longer version of it. We're going to take white paint, it's acrylic paint, put it on our palette paper, and something that we'd rarely say, we never add water to our paint unless we are spattering. So I'm gonna bring my brush. This is a rake brush. It's the White Wonder, is what it's called on our website. We are going to get it wet and we are going to add some water into our paint. You want your paint to be inky, so we'll just keep grabbing water. You can also use a spray bottle for this, that you can just spray water into your paint until you get it into a nice liquidy consistency, because that is going to make it spatter on your project. Something about spatter, if you have anything nice nearby, and by nearby I mean within like a 5-foot radius, you will want to move it away from your paint area while you are spattering. We have TVs behind us up in the corner of the room, and we recently found spatter on those. So it goes everywhere. So make sure to keep your purses or any of your nice furniture covered or moved. So how we do spatter is we will grab one of our dome brushes. We have our White Wonder brush. Our rake brush is filled with paint, and we always practice. We're going to bring our brush down and anchor it onto the project, or you can keep it up. Anchoring is going to make it into a specific area, and keeping it up is going to help it go a little bit further. So the reason that you practice is to see what it's going to look like before you actually come to your project. And I actually need a lot more water than what I have to make this a little bit. You can see here that the spots were super big, and we want them really small to actually look like snow. So there we go. They're getting a little bit smaller. So we're practicing here. We left our stencil on our project, and we are going to come over to our project and spatter. Actually, I forgot something. I don't want to forget this. So your stencil has holes, and if you don't cover up some of those holes, everything that has a hole is going to get spattered, because we just talked about how it goes everywhere. So what we did was we're just going to grab a piece of wax paper and just lay it down over our project, over top of anything that could potentially get snow spattered. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it will make a difference. So now that I've got that done, I'm going to come over, use my dome brush as an anchor, and I'm just going to tap it to get our spatter. So what this is going to do is it is going to add a little bit of snow to our trees. Say you want some place specifically that it's not getting, you can bring your dome brush down to the project and you can hit it against it in the area that you want, so that you are getting in one specific area. All right, so we're going to put this in the water. I'm going to get it nice and wet, and I'm going to go ahead and clean it off with this brush. We will clean it off, run the water through it, clean it off on a paper towel, make sure that our bristles are all nice and in the same way, and then put it back in our bucket to dry. So let's take this off and show you what it looks like after we spattered through. So check it out. Check out how cute this is with our Christmas tree, with the snow spatter, and then you can add some words. You could maybe add your deer. You could add a snowman. I think we have some angel stencils. So there's a whole bunch of different things that you can add to this to make a little scene. You could also just put a Merry Christmas word. So snow spatter is also something that you can do on your cards. Now, if you are spattering, spatter takes a really long time to dry. So you want to make sure that you lay them out, let them dry before you go ahead and try to put it inside of one of the envelopes. All right, so we have another one covered, and let's see what is next on our list. Next on our list, I'm actually going to get rid of this palette paper so that we have a clean one to start with. I think that you guys are really going to like this one. It was a fan favorite when we were showing off all of the different cards that we made. Look how pretty this is with the gold leaf. We used our frame stencil, and then we used a teeny tiny Merry Christmas, and the frame is in gold leaf, and we love it. It is so pretty, and I'm gonna show you how to do it. Actually going to do it on a different, we'll do this one still. So we are going to use, this is called Speedball Metal Leaf Adhesive. We will share this below. We are going to grab our gold leaf, which we'll also share below. And we are going to grab a makeup poof, which we'll also share below. These are all the things that we're going to want to use when we are doing gold leaf. We will add our stencil to our project. Now, I want to talk about this while I'm working on it. When you are doing the adhesive for the gold leaf, it is very sticky. So it is super important when you are done adding your adhesive that you immediately go wash your stencil and wash it really, really well to make sure that there's no residue. I washed mine yesterday, but you can feel that it's a little bit gritty. So just a word to the wise, you are definitely going to want to wash your stencil as soon as you're done with this portion of the project. And for this, we are going to grab a dauber. This is a jumbo dauber. You can find it on StudioR12.com. We'll add a little bit of the adhesive to our palette paper, and you can see that it is white. It looks like glue when you are starting. We'll grab our dauber, my fingers are already sticky, and put our dauber in the adhesive, and then we're just going to pounce it off once so it's not really thick on there. And then we're going to go around our stencil and just put our dauber through the stencil. Now, one thing that you want to be mindful of, something that happened yesterday when I was working on this project, was my card is bigger than my stencil. So there is an opportunity here that you could potentially ghost, and that's exactly what I did. The adhesive got outside of my stencil and onto the edge of my card. So we have a little gold loop right here. What we would do with this is we would just take this over to our cutter, and we would just cut the edges and make this a smaller card. I'm going to go back onto this, and I'm going to use our multi-masker over here on the edge. Our multi-masking tool is amazing so that you don't have to tape when you are masking. That can be such a pain, having to move your tape all around. It has a flat edge, it has a bunch of different edges, so as you are trying to paint into little nooks and crannies, then you can get it in there with our multi-masker. So since I'm using the multi-masker with this adhesive, I will also want to wash this as soon as we're done. Otherwise, it's going to get gunky and sticky, and you will not be able to reuse this stencil. Okay, looks like we are nice and sticky all the way around. I'm going to throw our jumbo dauber in the water. The jumbo dauber you are also going to want to wash immediately so that it doesn't get ruined. I'm going to stick it under here. Let's see if I can get it smushed down. Yep, stuck it underneath the brushes so that it stays wet, so that it doesn't get ruined. So now that we have our sticky on, we are going to leave our stencil on. Nope, we're not going to leave our stencil on. We're going to take it off so you can wash it. And let me see here. I'm going to come over here to Rusty and see if we can see the sticky on this. You can see just a really light layer. It kind of looks like a little bit of a craft adhesive, that when you're putting adhesive on the back of something and you can just see it barely and tell that it's sticky. All right, so we have our gold leaf. Let me see if I have a page that I'd started. So gold leaf is super fine and finicky. You can get it in any different color. We have black, gold, silver. We had like a rusty red gold. We had a green, but I just decided to go with gold on this one. So you can see it is really thin. And what we'll do is we're just going to rip really small, thin strips and cover our area that has the sticky on it. We'll just go all the way around. I'm probably not going to do all of it so that you guys don't get bored watching it. I do have some adhesive on my thumb, so the paper keeps sticking to my thumb. So I'm trying to avoid using my thumb so that it doesn't stick. So this is just something that's really fun, a nice way to add a little something to your project. Make it a little fancy, make it a little in the Christmas spirit, which you don't only have to do these at Christmas time. If you are planning a birthday party, you could make cards for the birthday party with some invites. You could, oh, how cute would it be if you send out birthday party invites and printed off a picture. You could paint the background with your stencils of snowflakes or dinosaurs, whatever little thing that you could find. And then you print it off a picture and then put the picture on top of it and then with a "You're invited." That would be super cute. Okay, so we have our gold leaf all around the top here. Now that it's on here, we're going to grab our makeup sponge. This is just really super duper soft. We'll share the link for it below. Then you will go to your project and you will just start rubbing. And as you rub, you can see that it is revealing. I'll show you a little bit of it right here before I do the rest. The part that's not in the sticky just comes right off. How amazing is that? It is, I think, one of the most satisfying reveals that we do is with the gold leaf, because then, and it's super easy and quick. And just like that, we have a gold outline. This is one of our favorite tricks. We absolutely love it. Okay, and now we have one more project we are going to want to show you. I'm going to have to clean off our mat here after bed. We use a silicone mat and then we just use a mild degreaser. But if you're using things that are sticky, that are glittery, you will definitely want to have something down on your table so that you can protect it. Okay, so this one, look how cute this card is. We wanted this one to look like a snow globe. So what we did with this one was we actually painted the background of this one with a polyfoam brush. So it doesn't take a long time to do it. I will show you on one of our new cards how to paint the background, but I do want you to be mindful that if you're going to paint the background, it does kind of change. It's not as firm and it's not as stiff and it's not as flat. We put this one under a book overnight, so it did keep it pretty flat for us, but it does add a little bit of something, especially if you're going to want to do something like a snowman. I'm going to grab a little bit of our blue paint. I'm going to stay away from the adhesive that we have over here. And I'm going to add some blue paint to our palette paper. And then we're going to just use our foam brush. I'm going to pounce off a little to the side so it's not super wet. And then just paint on the card. And I'm just sweeping away from it. I'm doing a very light, thin layer. There is going to be a mess on my mat after this, but that's okay. And once you are painting this, I'm going to turn it around. You're instantly going to notice a difference in the paper, that it's going to start to curl, that it's going to be a little wet. So what we'll do is we will just blow dry it and get it nice and dry. And then once you are completely done painting, then you can stick it underneath a book or something heavy to help keep it flat. So it kind of has a little bit of a watercolor effect where we aren't using a lot of paint, that we're kind of pulling the paint a little bit. All right, let me grab my hairdryer. Okay, so now that is nice and dry. And I am super excited to talk to you about the medium that we are going to use on this one. We are going to use a modeling paste. The modeling paste is going to help give you a 3D effect. So on this card, we used it on the snowman. So the snowman actually has a little bit of a ridge, and it is 3D, just like the cards that you buy at the store, and you can do it at home. And this one, I love this one. It is super cute. I am going to do a couple different things with this one. I think I have, let me see. This is a stencil that we use for a couple of different projects here. Make sure that our spatter is dry on this. I'm going to do a little bit of the modeling paste through the snowman, but I'm also going to do it through a snowflake so you can see how a raised snowflake would look as well. So I'm just going to add the stencil where I want it on the project. And I'm going to tape through a different portion. With the modeling paste, I am going to want to tape off kind of a mask. I'm not going to use the multi-masker for this because there are a lot of areas that need masked. And the modeling paste, when it dries really hard, and I don't want to risk it drying before I'm ready to get to those areas. So we'll just mask off everything. We're going to get some modeling paste and put on our palette paper. We'll have a link that we will share to this. And just get a nice big gloop out. And with the modeling paste, you're going to want to use a wide palette knife to first move it around and kind of get some movement in it. Make it nice and flat. Work it out just a little bit. You can move it over here to the side. And then we will scrape up some of the modeling paste onto our knife. And we're going to use it just like we would a cake, like you're icing a cake. We will just nice and scoop it on over top of our snowman. Make it nice and flat. You might have to move it a couple different ways so you can get all the little nooks and crannies and all the angles. All right. And then this takes some practice. This is something that I would say to practice when on a cardboard box, or you can do it on paper. But the modeling paste is something that before you actually do it on a project of something that you are going to gift for somebody or put up in your house, practice a little bit, because it does kind of take a little bit of knowing which angle to put your hand and knowing how much you can scrape on it. We've been doing this for a while now, so we know that with the modeling paste that we definitely want to practice off to the side and then go ahead and do it on your project. So with the modeling paste, it dries very fast and it hardens very fast. We are going to glitter with this one just because it was so cute. We'll do our glitter. We'll go ahead and quickly grab our tray and off to the side, do our glitter off to the side, and then slowly pop this up. And look how cute he is. We did get a couple little areas that the modeling paste went through our stencil on other areas. So that is something that you want to be mindful of, that you do want to tape off very well so that it doesn't go where you don't want it to be. Now, as soon as you are done with the modeling paste, you will need to take this stencil and you will go wash it off, because once this modeling paste dries, your stencil is going to be hardened and you will not be able to use it anymore. So as soon as you're done with the modeling paste, as soon as you are done with the sticky for the gold leaf, you'll want to wash those stencils. I also want to show you here just quickly, I have water on the stencil. I want to show you adding modeling paste to some snowflakes, just because I think that it is super cute Have some extra modeling paste here on my paper. I'm not gonna hold this down and I'm probably going to regret it. Actually, I'm gonna tape it just because I know I'll regret doing it if not taping if I don't. I'm gonna tape it there and I'm gonna tape it to the board. All right, and here on the original one that we did, we just did a light dusty layer of snowflakes in the background of this project. But on this one, I decided let's use our modeling paste and see how cute it would be to make 3D snowflakes. One thing I am going to tell you is if you are doing this, you probably will, if you're going to come off the edge, want to put something down on your mat or on your table so that you don't get modeling paste on your table, because then it's going to get hard and sticky. So you will have to clean that up. As soon as you're done with the modeling paste, wipe it off on your paper towel. Stick your wide palette knife into the water and get it nice and clean, and then put it off to the side. We'll go ahead and glitter this as well. I'm super excited to see how these turn out. I love the modeling paste. I love having that 3D raised texture effect, especially on cards, because then it really ups it a level and makes it a professional looking card like you would have bought in the store. So we're gonna come back to our tray. We're gonna come off to the edge, and then, oh my gosh, guys, I love this. Look how cute this turned out. It has that 3D raised effect on the snowflake, and it kind of gives it a little bit of a shadow that it looks like it has a little bit of a drop shadow behind it. So out of all the things that we've done, I think this is my favorite. You have to let us know what your favorite is as well. So we are winding down, but I do want to tell you that when you are working on these cards, go through your stencils, find some little bits and bobs. I mean, how many stencils have we used in this project? I even have some over here to the side. There are reindeer and snowflakes. We have a bunch of different Christmas trees. We have presents. We have angels. We have different Merry Christmases and different frames. The options are endless when it comes to this. And don't be afraid to try different mediums as well. If you want to get the whole family involved, maybe the kiddos aren't going to be ready for modeling paste yet, but they can use colored pencils. We just used a watercolor color pencil set through our stencil. We put our stencil down and just drew through the stencil. You could use little markers. You can use metallic paint. There are so many options for this. If you loved this tutorial on DIY Christmas cards, make sure that you subscribe to StudioR12 right here on YouTube and hit the bell so that you're notified anytime we add new tips, tricks, and tutorials for stencil painting.